Crafty Hope, welcome. I am about to work on my week 42 mixed media prompt project for Crafty Hope prompts. That is a challenge I started for myself. I call it Crafty Hope prompts because each Monday I draw 3 prompts from a list I have of 156. That list is dwindled down because this is week 42, so that means, oh, I can't do the math right now, 30, there's only 30 left in the jar now, something like that. But I take a regular playing card and alter that card using those 3 prompts on both sides, and then put the prompts onto my functional side of the card, leaving one side decorative. This basically is going to build me a prompt deck that I can use later. So this was week 42's prompt card, which I drew the words spray through I drew the prompts spray through stencil, Rickrack, and add paint with finger. So you can see I did both of that. You can watch that video to get more information about that. But then each Saturday I like to do another project with those same 3 prompts, so they get a good rotation, so that I know that I can do more with those prompts than just make a card. So it is time for that project for this week. Now, if you want to play along, you are welcome to. You can use those prompts that I drew for the week, or I've got the full list of 156 prompts down below in that description box that you are welcome to pull up, print out, pull your own prompts, however you want to do it. And you don't have to do a card. You can build your own prompt deck if you want, or you can just do art journal pages or play along however you're inspired. If you do and you're going to share it, I ask that you use that hashtag CraftyHopePrompts and possibly tag me. That way I can see what you've made too, so we can all get inspired about this. Alright guys, so it is time for the week 42 project, and let me tell you what I've gathered and what I think I'm going to do. So for spray through stencil, I think I want to just alter some deli paper with some sprays, and I want them to be something that is a little more permanent. So I don't have a whole lot of permanent sprays. So I have this Heidi Swap Color Shine in black velvet, and then this one is a tulip fabric spray in black. And those I'm going to try. I might try something else. I might get out my alcohol spray that's black, but that's going to be kind of faded, so we'll see. So I have the spray, I've got the paper, and then these are the stencils. I've got this one with the wings. I've got this chevron one from Tim Holtz. Another Tim Holtz one is the Harlequin. You can tell this one has been well loved. And then this one, I don't even know, but it's just a variety of, like, it's harder to see in it, a variety of circles on there. So I think I can do on each side of these some of them. And so that's my spray through stencil. Then, uh-oh, I'm dropping them. Ah! Okay, for Rickrack, I did pull out my 2 big bags of Rickrack. Rickrack's been the, y'all, I'm dropping stuff everywhere. I'm rushing. Rickrack is the one that held me up the most, because I decided to sit and try to think about, what is it? Why have I been hoarding all this Rickrack? What is it I think I want to do with it? I had pulled out, there were like these 3 random pieces in here. I was like, well, I can use these in something. But it just wasn't speaking to me. I tried weaving it. I've tried, I don't know, I was thinking about one thing and then another, and I even did like a search online for different ways to use Rickrack, and thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do some kind of little pouch or sew something, and all of that just felt too much. Just not really the direction I want to do today, and a little bit harder to integrate with the other 2 prompts. So, I think I'm just going to use some black and do it. You know, my battery is dying, so I'm trying to keep an eye on it and finish this up before we get to it. So I've got an idea of what we're going to do. We'll see how it works. Then add paint with the fingers. That's going to be easy enough. I've pulled out several blues that I like and a white, and I do think I'm gonna paint just this little, this is a, oh my gosh, Dina Wakely maybe? I'll have to look. Just a little canvas board type thing that I want to alter to make just a tiny little wall hanging possibly. So that's the plan, and I think that's everything I needed to tell you. So I'm gonna get to it, change this battery out and get to it. And oh wait, I do have more. Let me change the battery and I'll tell you more. Okay, that zoomed in some reason. Okay, so my idea is also to have a focal in here, and I was thinking maybe one of the little faces I drew as part of making 100 faces for the 100-day project, but I may use, these are the only two that were like small enough to fit on this little board. So that's a possibility, but I might also, in searching through my faces, I found one of my little mini assemblages, which was my other, because I did 200-day projects, y'all, because I'm crazy. But this was my main one. The Making 100 Faces was just a side project. So I might look through my stack of mini assemblages and see if any of them are small enough to fit onto here as a focal. But I might use one of these. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So I also have a stack of like mushrooms over here that I've watercolored, and who knows? We're just gonna get started and go for it. This project came together so quickly and so beautifully that we're going to zoom right through this. The first thing I did was go ahead and alter that deli paper with the sprays. Like I said, I was going to just lay out these. I'm going to use that Heidi Swap spray first, and it was kind of spraying sporadically, so I thought I might need something to fill it in a little bit. So I do go grab my homemade alcohol ink spray in black just to kind of fill it in. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't end up using this particular one, but I wanted y'all to kind of just see what I did in my process. So I was not prepared. I pulled these up and didn't have any place to put them, so I had to run to the sink real quick and clean everything off. But that gave it a second to dry, and I moved it off my desk and went ahead and did the other one. And this one I'm going to do with just that fabric spray. So yeah, I'm going to spray that on there pretty well. And if I link this one below, it'll be a whole set that I have of these fabric sprays, so we'll see. I was a little more prepared with these so I could clean it off and get some of that yummy texture onto another piece of paper. But I then left both of these deli papers to dry while I went and ate lunch, and I also like heat dried them, and so they're sitting off to the side, all done and ready. And I've got my little canvas board thing. Now this one has, unlike some canvas boards that are kind of wrapped, this one has like bare edges. And I wanted the edges to kind of be more finished feeling. So what I decided to do is to take this little jelly plate and roll out some black paint on it. Just enough to, yeah. So, and I'm just dipping the edges right into it to color it, because I knew that if I tried to do this any other way, I would end up getting black paint all over it. Now I do end up getting a little bit of black paint on one of the corners somehow. I'm not real sure if it's in some of my cleaning process or something else, but anyway, you can see up in that upper left corner. So I'm going to make sure I try to focus some of my darker colors there. I'm starting with my darker color, so that, what is that called? Cobalt turquoise from Liquitex, and then that is, Sea Breeze, I think, from Americana, and I'm mixing those two, finger painting, adding paint with my fingers. I need a little more dark, and I kept trying to add this dark in. I didn't want it to get too dark, but I kind of wish I had gone a little bit darker, because I keep adding more light colors and it just keeps getting lighter and lighter. So that was a lesson learned, but I really love how this ended up. So now I've added sea glass from Americana in there, and I am moving that all around, and I'm really liking the movement. I mean, it's kind of disguised in there, but it's, yeah. It's hard to see, I think, on this screen, but y'all, I was really, really loving this. Some of the paint did get on the edges. I'm less concerned about that. It was more the unfinished edges, but some of the things I collaged and all that get on this a little bit, but it's not too bad. So now I've got some white paint, and I'm just going to add it in little touches and spurts, just to add a little touch of something else in there. And as I do that, I'm picking up, I'm realizing how much texture I'm getting by like putting my finger down and lifting it up. So I do that in a couple areas just to get some of that texture, and y'all, it's so super cool. So before I mess anything else up, I'm going to clean my fingers and use my heat tool to dry this real quick. once I get it dry, I'm going to realize I really want the darker area at the bottom. So that has like that weight at the bottom of it. It would have been fine the other way, but it just felt right there. And I've decided I'm going to go ahead and use this face that I've drawn with, y'all, I don't know, charcoal pencil, maybe a graphite pencil, maybe a Stabilo graphite pencil. I don't know what I drew this face with. But it is drawn, it's on dictionary paper. And so I'm going to cut it down real quick just so that it's, I don't know, looks interesting. Somehow something has gotten on it, but I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm going to keep moving on. And I'm looking at these papers that I colored. I kind of knew at this point I wasn't going to use the wings, but I wasn't sure which of the other 3 I might use. And I say on these dots, I like them, so I'm going to tear out the section. I really like the little ones. I felt like any of the bigger ones would overwhelm this tiny piece. So I'm going with the smaller dots, and I'm going to use some Liquitex fluid gel medium, matte gel medium. No, not gel. Fluid matte medium. That's what it is. And I tested it first, you saw, on another piece of that just to make sure that, because that was one of the ones that was sprayed with the tulip fabric spray, and I wasn't sure if that would move or not. So I tested it real quick, and now I'm kind of figuring out the placement of all of this. Yeah, I'm going to end up liking this placement, but I decide that the color in the background is I don't know, too solid, needs more movement. So I've grabbed just that's just a mechanical pencil, just a plain mechanical pencil, and did some scribbles in the background. When it comes down to it, that is one of my favorite things on this piece. There's something about it when this gets done that those little bit of scribbling in the background with some pencil worked beautifully. And I'm keeping this really super simple, just letting these spray through the stencil, Rickrack, and paint with finger kind of shine through. These projects don't have to be overwhelming. They don't have to be huge undertakings. And I have to remember that sometimes it can be something super simple like this. So I'm using that fluid matte medium, and I stuck down that piece of deli paper that I used with the stencil, and then my dictionary paper face. Some of the whatever it is I put on there moved a little bit on the face. It's not a big deal. I'm thinking maybe it was a Stabilo graphite, but I'm not positive because that was 100 days of that. I have no idea. I have to go find that face and find that post. I'll have links to my 100-day projects below for y'all if y'all do want to go see either one of those. That'll be in the description box. So I'm trimming off the excess as best I can, and I find, like a little bit of that didn't stick, so I'm going to stick it back down using my finger, but that's not painting with my finger, is it? I guess it could be painting glue. And I'm just, getting a little bit of the excess off in different areas. I am loving her. So I'm going to start picking some of this stuff up and bring my Rickrack in. Now, my idea that I had is to use it as a frame around this, but only on the back of this canvas board. That's why I'm using this. A thick piece of like watercolor paper might work too. And if you don't want to, especially if you want to like stick that onto a slightly larger canvas or frame or something like that, or shadow box, it would be fine to use something like that. But I am using this little, I don't know, whatever it is called, a canvas board. I'm sure there's a name for it for the brand that I'm using. But I started to use my Fabri-Tac to stick this down, but I decided to go ahead and use my tacky glue. And I'm trying to get it where the little humps, I don't know what you call that, the top of the zigzags like poke out, but the underside of them do not. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this as close as I can to the canvas board. This is going to get really fiddly around the corners here in a little bit, but I'll show you how I fix that. And I was not stressing about this. I was just like, okay, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I can always try to rip off this Rickrack and start again if I need to. I've got tons of it. So I'm going around each of the edges and just trimming it down the sections that I needed. I'm checking the front, checking the back, trying to make sure it's as even as I can get it. But like I said, not stressing, just making this pretty little thing. I'm super happy with it. So Yeah, I'm trying to fill the space here with words, but you can see what I'm doing. Oh, and I'm also like trying to make sure I don't put too much of that glue on there because I don't really want it oozing out, but if it does, it will dry clear, so it's not a huge deal. That tacky glue, and it doesn't leave a sheen or anything, especially on that fabric. So yeah, here's the last, well, I say last one. I'm going to add one more, but you'll see how I do that in a minute once I get this fiddly portion done in a second with the corners. So I could have been more exact with the corners and like had them meet up, but y'all, that's not my style at all. So I think I'm going to, yeah, look how cute that is. Y'all, I really love how that frames it up and looks like this design. So I flipped it over. I left it to dry for a while, and like half an hour maybe, and then I'm coming back and I'm dealing with these corners, or maybe I didn't leave it, I don't know, I left it to dry for a little bit. I went and made the bed, so and that didn't take half an hour, but I'm trimming off some of the excess on the corners, and I'm realizing that two of them in particular end up looking a little funky once I trim some of this stuff down. So yeah, I know I need to fix those two. One of them really in particular. So one of them, yeah, some of them were okay, some of them were not. So if you want to be a little more exact, if you do this technique, go for it, because there's definitely a way to make sure like where you start your little lumps and where you end them can be a little more exact. So once I get, yeah, that bottom left one is the one that really, really bothers me. So I'm just going to take some more of that Rickrack and put more tacky glue down and make a little lump right where I want it and make it any design I want. And if I wanted, you know what would be really cool would be to take a different color of Rickrack and put it behind it, like where one goes down, the other one goes up. That would be super cool if I wanted to do like a gold or a silver one. I think that would have been too much maybe for this particular design since I am keeping it so simple, but that's something to keep in mind later. So you'll see how I'm just kind of like looking at these and how I want to line it up, and I'm just adding a little bit more glue and then sticking, yeah, and I start to stick that in a way I didn't want it, so I turn it around and I'm like, this is the way I want it, stick it down and trim off the part I don't want. And that's it, and that's what I should have done from the beginning, but I wanted to show you that it's an easy enough fix if you don't get it how you want it. So the last thing I'm going to do here is take a short length of this and cut it down. I'm kind of just looking at it because I'm going to create a hanger for this just so it can simply hang up. Actually, I've got it hanging now in my office and it's super cute. I'm absolutely thrilled by it. I'm going to put more glue there and then stick that length of Rickrack on there and leave it to dry. And once it's dry, I'm all done with project number 42. I am so glad I didn't stress about this, y'all. I've had a crazy couple weeks and I needed something just simple and beautiful, and this is perfect for it. I did think about maybe adding something in her hair, maybe a flower or something, but no, I'm good. I'm good with it the way it is. I hope you like this. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and come back Monday and see what our next 3 prompts are going to be. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see y'all then. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. Bye.